Let's talk more about housing and if now is the time to invest. Joining us now is Sitt, CEO of Thor Equities, and Pat Lashinsky, CEO of Sitt Realty. Thanks to both of you for joining us. You know, Pat, 26% going all cash. That's pretty surprising. I actually talked to developers over the weekend who were saying the all-cash deal is back in a big way. Where is all this cash coming from?
Well, we're seeing the cash come from a couple of different places. We're seeing a number of people who've been saving for years, and they've decided to go into the place that they want to retire in, and they've been using that. We also have seen a number of people have decided that they're uncomfortable in the market, and they've pulled money out of the market to go into real estate.
The stock market.
The stock market,
yeah.
to be able to go out because they're uncertain about the future of it, and they like having hard properties to be able to go. And then third, we're actually seeing funds that are made up of investors where they're actually pulling kind of cash together from a variety of different investors, and they're coming in and investing on a hedge fund pool sort of approach.
Joe, does this mark a bottom in your mind when we see all this cash come in? I mean, do you think, anecdotally, you know, I've talked to a lot of people who think we put in a bottom in this market as you see interest rates maybe potentially beginning to go up. Maybe the housing market is bottoming. A lot of people have been sitting on the sidelines for 5 or 6 or 10 years saying this is the opportunity of a lifetime.
We've been saying the same message now since approximately 2008. This, we feel as a company, at Thor Equities, is the magic bottom. Why? You've got 3 dynamics working all at the same time. Sellers who are finally relenting just because the pressure of what they're dealing with, an expiring loan, underwater loan, or just the carry cost that they can't handle, 1. 2, lenders that are finally becoming impatient and are foreclosing and then starting to liquidate. And last and certainly not least, but a buyer's market where people are finally tired of waiting on the sidelines. And these are normally the 3 forces that come together to make a bottoming of a market.
Okay, that said, isn't this very much, Pat, market specific? I mean, you can't just blindly go out there and invest in real estate right now. You need to look at individual markets.
That is absolutely correct. You know, I think the report that you just had talked about the high level of cash in places like Las Vegas and Phoenix. One of the things that we've seen is that markets where there's been a high level of foreclosures and there's been a significant price decline have been very heavy for all cash buyers. We think for 2 reasons. First of all, those investors are able to come in and get great deals at prices that they think are a good value for them. And second, a number of the people who've been foreclosed on or lost their home through a distressed property are creating a demand cycle for the ability to rent out or lease out those properties that the investors are buying. And so you're getting both low prices and high demand in some of these areas where foreclosures have been very high in the past.
There's no liquidity here, right? I mean, if I go in and I plank down a lot of cash for a property, the reality is I could be stuck with that property for the foreseeable future.
I would...
Go ahead, Joe.
All right. I would add 2 things. It really is a tale of 2 cities, what's going on in our country. You've got, first, the global gateway cities that aren't so much tied to the economics only of our country, but the economics of the world, whether it's a booming Brazil, a booming China, booming India. And it's got strength in markets like New York. We've got strengths in market like San Francisco. You've got Houston, where housing is actually selling at a very, very fast pace.
So in other words, I'd have liquidity in those markets, but not necessarily in Detroit.
Exactly. Markets like Detroit, the Rust Belt, I'll take it back again to economics. In Times Square, I was looking up only 2 weeks ago. There are 2 signs in Times Square's billboard that were held by GM for 30 years. You know who's got it now? Kia and Hyundai. So as a reflection now of that economic movement away from the Rust Belt isn't seeing the liquidity, although for those that want to brave it, there are obviously opportunities at cheap, cheap prices.
Okay. We're going to leave it there, guys. Thanks so much for joining